Good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled February 9th meeting of the Commission on the Status of Women. Tonight you will notice that we're all sporting our red for Healthy Heart Month, and I hope that you will learn a lot about your heart this evening before the meeting is over. Ms. Haddad, may we have roll call?
Certainly. Commissioner Katafian, Commissioner Lamel, Commissioner Manasarian,
Here.
Commissioner Pillsbury,
Here.
Commissioner Sobey,
Here.
Commissioner Walker,
Here.
Commissioner Malakian,
Here.
Commissioner Marakut,
Here.
Acting Chair Devine.
Here. Next item.
Next item on the agenda is a brief report regarding the posting of the agenda. This agenda for the February 9th, 2009 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before February 6th.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item on the agenda is introductions and presentations. I'd first like to introduce Dr. Katrina Miller, coming from Glendale Adventist Medical Center. And Dr. Miller, could you approach the podium? Hi. Dr. Miller is here today to talk to us about heart health.
Okay, so just go ahead.
Yep.
Well, hello. I'm very honored to be here tonight. Again, my name is Katrina Miller, and I am a family medicine physician working at Descanso Family Practice in Glendale. I'm also assistant professor at Keck School of Medicine and work as teaching faculty with the Glendale Adventist Family Practice Residency Program. And I'm here today to talk to you about cardiovascular health. As you know, the Go Red for Women campaign is going on, brought to us by the American Heart Association. So we're going to talk a little bit about cardiovascular health. And first of all, what is cardiovascular disease? Cardio refers to the heart, vascular refers to the vessels, so obviously we have a problem with the heart and the blood vessels. Basically, the problem is over time with not so healthy living, a not so healthy lifestyle. We can have problems with deposits of plaque, of fat, cholesterol, and other substances into the blood vessels, and therefore causing damage to the organs that are fed by those blood vessels. This is also called atherosclerosis. You may have heard that before. And when we lead to a problem with damage or death of the organ that goes beyond that vessel, we start to talk about different things in different organs, such as heart attack or myocardial infarction, which is death of heart muscle, or heart disease or coronary artery disease, where there isn't necessarily death of the heart muscle yet, but there's damage and there are problems on the way. When we're talking about the brain, we talk about stroke or cerebral vascular accident. That is a death or infarction of brain tissue. Vascular dementia is also damage to brain tissue that can happen from cardiovascular disease. And peripheral artery disease is what we would term it if we were talking about this sort of situation with atherosclerosis, damaging the extremities, the legs, causing pain with walking, things like that. So we're talking about things that will help you to avoid the damage and death of organs, and what we're talking about here is just healthy living. And we like to divide this up into what are called modifiable risk factors, things you can do something about, and non-modifiable risk factors, things you just can't do too much about, has to do with your age, genetics, your family background, things like that. And you'll see that I've divided this again into the blue sections, where those in blue actually can have one aspect that is non-modifiable, meaning there is some contribution from family history, and then one aspect that you can certainly do something about. But tonight we're going to be talking mostly about the modifiable risk factors, so things like your diet, exercise, whether you smoke or not, control of diabetes, control of cholesterol, things like that. So let's talk a little bit about statistics. Why are we talking about this? Well, unfortunately, out of the 3 top causes of death for women, 2 of them have to do with cardiovascular disease. Heart disease is number 1. Stroke is number 3, with cancer being right in the middle. 1 out of 3 women has cardiovascular disease. That's a lot of women. 460,000 women per year will die because of this. 2/3 of the people in the U.S., all people, are overweight. 2/3. And that is what contributes to the cardiovascular disease. We have almost 24 million with diabetes, and almost 18% of all women smoke, which contributes to cardiovascular disease and other problems. Just in terms of smoking, we were just talking about those top 3 causes of death. Well, cancer was right there in the middle, and you can see that unfortunately lung and bronchus cancer is the top cause of cancer death in women. caused by smoking. So we really need to work on smoking as a major issue that can prevent cardiovascular disease and cancer death, all of the 3 top causes of death for women. Now here we have a depiction of the trend of obesity. This is a body mass index of greater than 30, so that is obese, not just overweight, but obese. Think about this as blue is less in the state that have a problem with obesity, red is more in the state with a problem with obesity. And you can see the trend from 1990 to 1998 to 2007 going right into the red zone. So at this point, over half of the United States has 25 to 30% of the state obese. And this is something that is preventable as a cause of cardiovascular disease and cardiovascular death. So we're talking about health prevention. We're talking about improving and maintaining your good health before a problem occurs, if at all possible. And health prevention is general. We've got a lot of general things that everybody can do, but then there are also specific things that you need to know that are particular about you and your family history that will help you in terms of stratifying your own risk and improving your own health. So let's talk about first the healthy diet. I know we've all heard it all before, but for some, just losing 10 pounds can decrease your risk for cardiovascular disease. So a healthy diet is what works for you. We are talking about a healthy lifestyle. I am not talking about fad diets. They're hard to stick with. Nobody can stick with them, and some of them can be very dangerous. So we're talking about a healthy lifestyle. I like to say, make sure there's color on your plate. As long as there's color on your plate, you're probably getting a well-balanced diet. Moderation in all things. Don't try to eliminate the things that you love. Just moderate what you're eating so you can get what you want, but in better proportions. And you may have heard of the Mediterranean diet, olive oil, fish, beans. That is a very healthy style of diet. You can go with that if you'd like. Good nutrition. We're going to hear about this a little bit more later, but we're talking about things that you already know about. Just drink a lot of water. What we were talking about before. You can use calorie counting if you like to be a little mathematical about this, but keep in mind that you're going to be looking at your activity level and the calories that are going in terms of an equation of what goes in must go out in terms of not staying on the hips. You can go to mypyramid.gov, which is brought to you by the Department of Agriculture, has some great tools in terms of developing a diet and a calorie count that's right for your activity level. Or if you like this kind of mathematical equation, you can look at the percentage of types of foods you're eating. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats all being important, and a high fiber diet as well. This is just a little depiction of what you can see from mypyramid.gov from the Department of Agriculture, giving you a little proportion of what types of foods are in a healthy diet. And then we would talk about weight, maintaining a healthy weight. Now, how do we decide what is a healthy weight at this point? Well, it's really not just weight anymore. We're talking about weight as per how tall you are, or something called the waist to hip ratio. Those are the best measures of weight to height. Body mass index, again, here is your equation for weight to height. You can see what the body mass index categories are that we're talking about, and just gave you one little example of obesity with a body mass index of 30 being like a 5'4" woman at greater than 175 pounds. So that just gives you one idea, but we want to use both measures to really understand the body mass index. Another thing that is being used very often and does contribute to your risk for cardiovascular disease is your waist to hip ratio. That's just measuring your waist, measuring your hip, and that ratio should be less than 0.8. As if it's any more than that, you do have an increased risk for cardiovascular disease. Another just direct one would be less than 35 inches for the waist can be a problem. Exercise. We know that this is important, and I just tell my patients, just get off the couch. Just go and do something. It can be anything. Go and garden. Go and walk around your house. Go and just step in place. Anything that gets you up and moving is good. You can see this little depiction from the GoRedForWomen.org website. Keeping active is the key. Just gives you all kinds of different kinds of activities. Less vigorous to more vigorous, depending on what you can do, but anything is helpful. It is suggested 150 minutes per week, but even if it's 10 minutes at a time, you can have beneficial effect. So anything you can do can be helpful in terms of getting some exercise. Avoid those harmful substances. And as we discussed earlier, tobacco use is the number one thing to avoid. It is the most preventable cause of death and problems, and smokers are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop heart disease just because they're smoking. Okay? Also, we've heard about things like alcohol use, caffeine use, things like that. Again, things in moderation. There is research to show that 1 glass of red wine per night is okay and may be beneficial for heart health. And instead of using coffee every day, possibly green tea has been shown to have a little bit more benefit than straight caffeine in coffee. Cholesterol. This is something that we want to keep in a good balance with the numbers that are dictated by research. And what exactly are we talking about here? Well, when you go to your doctor and you get what's called the lipid profile, that is cholesterol, which are the dense fats in your bloodstream, and triglycerides, which are the oily fats in your bloodstream. We have certain numbers that we want to keep them below, and you can see them here. We basically just want to use things like diet and exercise to try to keep these numbers down to the good levels. Keeping in mind that there is bad cholesterol, which we want to keep below its number, and good cholesterol, the HDL, we want to keep above 40. So talk with your health provider to understand what these numbers mean, but basically we do have a certain profile that we want to keep you within. Lipid treatment, so if you're having problems with cholesterol, healthy diet and exercise, number one treatment. We can actually cure you of your lipid profile problems with diet and exercise. And obviously, you're doing it yourself. If that doesn't work, we do have statin medications, triglyceride-lowering medications, and nutritional supplements that can also help if you are a person who can't take those medications. Blood pressure. We definitely want to keep everyone's blood pressure below 140/90 to ensure cardiovascular health, and it's actually best if we can keep it below 120/80. If you have other medical problems, we will dictate to you a lower blood pressure to try to keep it down. Now, treatment for this again. Healthy diet and exercise. It actually can reduce blood pressure. Research showed through the DASH diet, which is just more vegetables in the diet, decreased blood pressure. So if that doesn't work for you, medication as we need to do it, and you just want to stay consistent with your medication so you don't have what we call labile or up and down blood pressure. Diabetes, another risk factor for cardiovascular disease and death. This is something that we will test by using your fasting blood sugar. And again, treatment for this, healthy diet and exercise. It can actually cure diabetes. Just as simple as that. But again, if we can't get you cured or get your diabetes down to a manageable level, we do have lots of medications. And again, you want to stay regular with your follow-ups with your doctor to make sure your diabetes is under control. Your annual exam is a great time to come in and have this all checked out. At that time, we can update your chart with new information. We can discuss things before it becomes a problem, which is actually much better than coming in with problems with high blood pressure, diabetes, or cholesterol. We also can get your pap and breast exam out of the way, your mammogram, and bone density scan, depending on your age and what is required. And medication updates can be done at the annual exam. The Go Red for Women campaign also suggests a cardiovascular checkup. So if you've already had your annual, but you want to find out a little bit more about your cardiovascular risk, you can go to your doctor for this kind of checkup. Specifically looking at your current health status, trying to look at your activity level, what you're able to do, what your past medical history is, and therefore what your risk might be at this time. Family history, and then you can get your screening labs like the lipid profile we discussed and your fasting blood sugar, and any screening tests such as a stress test where we might put you on a treadmill to test your heart. So things like that can be done with a cardiovascular checkup. Mental attitude. It is so important. If you don't have enough motivation to get yourself up off the couch, get some exercise, you have your healthy diet, then there's going to be a problem. So if you need help, if you're having problems with your mental state, please get help. You can talk to any healthcare provider about it, or psychologist, counselor, psychiatrist, anybody like that. But having a healthy mind is very important to having a healthy body. And you want to treat yourself like you would treat others, so do it. Be healthy. Now, symptoms that are very concerning. times when we need to call 911. Now, unfortunately, cardiovascular disease has been mostly researched and described for men. So lots of symptoms come from what men experience. Women's symptoms can be much less obvious and a little more confusing than men's. And that leads to, unfortunately, a situation where women are seen and sometimes not treated the same way in emergency situations. So we need to all advocate for ourselves as women. And if we feel this is an emergency, severe, sudden change in our health, we need to use this information, go see your doctor, and if you can't get to your doctor on your own, use 911. That's what it's for. If this is an emergency, 911. So symptoms: sudden, severe, debilitating, severe chest pain or pressure, shortness of breath, feeling suddenly ill or weak, sudden loss of function or mental state, loss of consciousness, headache. Things like this mean emergency, and you need to call 911 for help. Luckily, the American Heart Association has developed this great campaign and a wonderful website with lots of tools for you to use, goredforwomen.org, and this is just a sampling of some of the things that you can see on the website. Lots of great information, connections, and handouts that you can get from this website, so go to it, and I have a little handout of one of the manuals from the website if anyone wants to see it later. And again, just to wrap it all up, we're talking about reducing your risk for cardiovascular disease before it becomes a problem. And that just has to do with healthy diet, exercise, avoiding tobacco, and managing your cholesterol, your blood pressure, and diabetes appropriately. Here's some websites that you can use that I checked out while I was creating this handout, and I have time for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Miller. That was fabulous. Commissioners, any questions for the doctor?
I have. Thank you, doctor, for coming. That was very informative. Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Question I had is, at what point women should get bone density exam? Because I've been contemplating to do that or not, or when is the right time to get it done, and how? What's the procedure?
Okay. The recommendation for all women is after the age of 65.
Oh, okay.
Unless there is a problem making us think that you have an increased risk for osteopenia or osteoporosis, which is thinning of the bones. Okay? So things like if you've been on medications which might thin the bones, or if for some reason you had a fracture and we don't really understand why, those would be indications for getting a bone mineral density scan before the age of 65.
So if you've been on medication that might affect your bone density, then
That would be a
That
good
would be a
reason
good
to
reason.
check the scan earlier. Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Again, please.
What's the difference between osteopenia and osteoporosis?
Osteopenia is a lesser form of osteoporosis. They both are thinning of the bones. Osteopenia is to a certain extent, and osteoporosis is the most severe form. It has to do with a score that we use that we get from your bone density scan, and depending on what your numbers are, we give you the diagnosis of osteoporosis or osteopenia. Yes.
Several of the symptoms on your emergency 911, like headache and feeling weak or ill, are pretty normal everyday stress symptoms or flu symptoms. How do you differentiate?
Sudden, severe, and debilitating. It is true that they're very generic symptoms, and it can be very difficult to tell. And I have had patients who have had heart attacks with the symptom of nausea. And so it can be very confusing. But the point is that this is something different from what you normally go through. And hopefully you will be able to tell a difference, but maybe you won't. And based on your risk, so knowing that you have high blood pressure, diabetes that's not under good control, you're overweight, and then you start to feel some of these symptoms, because your risk is higher, feeling these symptoms is more makes it more likely that you will have cardiovascular disease or problems because of that. So it has to do with your risk plus these symptoms. And generally speaking, we hope that the symptoms are more severe than what you usually go through in your everyday life.
Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned low blood pressure. So
what about for people who have a tendency to have low blood pressure? Is that also a risk factor?
No, it is not.
Okay.
And what I meant by that was having a low blood pressure, trying to maintain it lower than the numbers 140 over 90, or for some people below 120 over 80. Generally speaking, a low blood pressure is not a problem unless it gets too low, and there is a too low, but for most people who live with what we would call a low blood pressure, that is not a problem and not a risk for cardiovascular disease.
Dr. Miller, I noticed that you didn't mention anything about aspirin.
Yes.
And I know a lot of doctors recommend that we take an aspirin, a baby aspirin a day. What is your philosophy or thinking on that?
Well, in terms of research that I'm aware of, aspirin is good for certain patients who do have risk or do have proven cardiovascular disease based on those elements that I was describing today. It is not safe for just anyone and everyone to take aspirin. Aspirin has its own adverse effects, gastrointestinal bleeding being the main one, and we do not advocate for every person to take aspirin unless we know that there is a risk or there is a reason we are using it to treat something like cardiovascular disease and other things.
Questions?
What about chocolates? We've heard, rumors about chocolates.
Yes, and I have heard the rumors too, and I know that there is information about dark chocolate, but I can't give you all of the research right off the top of my head in terms of the way it relates to cardiovascular disease. So, not sure about that one quite yet, but it's definitely dark chocolate, not milk chocolate.
So for Valentine's, dark chocolate.
Everything in moderation. That's what I say.
Doctor, I heard on the news that the reason that women die or are not aware that they're having a heart attack or they have high blood pressures, the fact that they are so concerned about their families that they don't really take care of themselves. Can you address that?
I agree.
That issue?
And that's exactly why I put that on the mental health slide, just because if you are not thinking about your own health, you will not be able to take care of your family and take care of other people. So you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I think we as women far too often just do not focus on ourselves, and things can get out of control when you don't pay attention. And I think many women who come in with cardiovascular disease and problems, it's pretty far down the line and they really knew it, but just weren't really focusing on the problems as they came up. So the more that we can just take care of these issues as we need to in terms of the annual exam and before it becomes a problem, and have a good, healthy mental attitude, good, healthy physical state, I think the better off we can all be.
And
Any other
another
comments?
one, related to stress, you mentioned, heart disease related to stress. And with the economic conditions that we have right now, do you see any effect on, cases or situations that you see in emergency hospitals?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And unfortunately, it's a very wide-reaching problem as to why. There is, of course, the stress, which creates physical stress on the body. And somebody who doesn't have a good reserve already, who may already have cardiovascular disease, that can be very dangerous. Another problem is the economic situation leading to lack of insurance or the inability to pay for prescriptions. I have patients that will take their medication instead of every day, every second day, or every third day.
Or half.
And exactly, or half their medication to stretch it further. And that's inappropriate. It's not good treatment, and it's leading to a progression of their disease. So unfortunately, there are a lot of problems because of the economic situation and what people are going through right now. And unfortunately, we in the medical industry are just very busy right now taking care of, a variety of different problems because of this.
How about the natural nutrients that, we can treat hypertension or even cardiovascular disease? Do you believe in that?
Definitely. And I mentioned a few on the slideshow that research has actually proven that they help, particularly for cardiovascular disease. But again, the high vegetable diet for blood pressure can reduce blood pressure. So I definitely ascribe to not only the healthy diet, but focusing on things like omega-3 fatty acids, fish oils, red rice yeast, things like that to help with your cholesterol. Not everything works, but definitely a lot of nutritional supplements do.
Well, we thank you very much, Doctor, for coming tonight. Very informative, and I hope that a lot of women that are watching got some good advice tonight. Thank you.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
A local guru, a local diva of nutrition and exercise, which seems to be the mantra for the night. I'd like to invite Ms. Narane Tatusian from All About You Wellness Boot Camp, here to give us some practical tips on how to make that healthy diet and exercise happen in our own lives.
Okay.
Thanks,
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm Narina, co-owner of All About You Wellness Boot Camp. I'm a nutrition and I've been a personal trainer for 10 years now. So now that we know that heart disease is the number one killer for women in America, and the question is why? And that is because we have a lot more responsibilities. It's not just kids that we take care of, our children and our homes, it's our career as well. So that results in less time for ourselves, and we don't have enough time to cook healthy home cooking, so we go out to eat, meals out more, and we're more sedentary. We don't have time to go for a walk with our kids or even park away from the mall or the supermarket. And so it's just the little things that we need to do in order to prevent this number one disease. So the number one killer is, as Dr. Katrina said, is preventable. We just have to take the steps for it, and two ways that we can do it is move more and eat less. And one way you can do it is lose 10 pounds, and how you do that is simply by calories in and calories out. So what are calories? Calories are just energy, the energy that you burn. So pretty much the food that we consume is energy, right? And when we take a walk, we sit, we're consuming energy. So that's the equation. If there are a lot of diets out there that really confuse all of us a lot, and basically it's calories in and calories out. Now, what should consume? Well, all the foods that you should consume to make up the calories are healthy fruits and vegetables, lean protein, low in fat. Also, we need the good fats as well. All the omegas we need as well. Also, our whole grains are important as well. Now, you hear it all the time, eat good nutrition, have a healthy balance, but what are the tools to help us? You know, I can pick up a guitar and start playing, but I need lessons on it. I need the tools for it. So one way that we can help you out as nutritionists is one way that I highly recommend is for you to keep a journal. Okay, studies have shown that people who keep a journal get to their results, get to their goals a lot faster. It's good to know what you're putting in your mouth. And so one way to make it easier for you, if you go on calorieking.com, okay, and you can put in blueberries and hit the search button, and it'll give you different kinds of blueberries, cooked blueberries, fresh blueberries, and so you click on fresh ones if you had fresh ones, and it'll give you choices as far as if you had a cup or grams, and you choose that as well, and it gives you the food label, it gives you all the calories that you need to know. It's easy. I do recommend for you to keep it for a week or two. It really is an eye-opening as far as how many calories we are consuming. We think we're not consuming that many, but it's a surprise for everyone. So that's one of the ways that I would recommend for you to count your calories. Again, it's not something you have to do the rest of your life, but it's good to know what goes in your body. Another way that you can establish a healthy eating habit is start with a good breakfast. A lot of people don't have breakfast. They're out the door, get the kids in the car, get them to school, and we forget to have breakfast. And that is, I know our mothers have told us from day one, breakfast is the most important part of the meal, and it really is true. So I want to explain why, because a lot of people say you should, but you need to understand why. And one of the reasons is that when we have dinner at night, and that's it, we don't eat anything all night, all morning, we probably wake up with coffee, which great, we're dehydrating our body, right? And then we're working hard and working hard. We think we're working hard, but we really are not working smart, because if you put fuel in this brain, it's going to work much better for you. And so lunchtime comes around and we're really hungry, and so we consume all this food, right? So your body hasn't worked for how long, and you wanted to burn how much food? It's like me telling you to do 1 week worth of work in 1 day. Is that possible? It's not. And that's what you're asking your body to do. You're asking it to work hard. You're putting too much pressure on your system. So to wake up with a breakfast is important. You increase your metabolism that way. You're waking it up. And a lot of people complain that when I have breakfast, I'm hungry 2 hours later. That's a good thing. You just woke up your metabolism. So for you to be hungry every 3 hours, you're in good shape. And to be consistent throughout the day is also very important. It's good for you to consume 5 to 6 times, 6 meals per day. That's very important. And at nights, a lot of us eat because of habit. It's not because we're hungry. We've already fulfilled all of our calories. So there are many ways that we can give you tips as far as what you can do to keep your calorie intake low. And the last thing as far as meals I want to talk about is it's important for you to eat a few hours before you go to sleep, okay? Because when you eat and you go to sleep right away, you're not resting 100%. Your body's still metabolizing for you. So there are mornings where you wake up and you think to yourself, man, I've had my sleep. Why am I not rested? That you should really think about what you had to eat the night before, okay? So calorie counting is number one. Okay, what can help you is a journal. Journal can definitely help you out. CalorieKing.com is a place for you to go. And I'll also watch your portion sizes. Okay, if you eat small portions throughout the day, you're not going to be able to eat a large meal. Okay, a lot of people will have something very large and they don't eat for a few hours, and that's what gets us in trouble. And also, just know that every body type is different. We're such a miracle. Our bodies are such a miracle that we should treat it as one. And so I cannot expect you to eat nutrition that works for me. I can't expect you to keep a diet that has worked for a group. You need to figure out what works for you. We'll give you all the guidelines, but you need to figure out a healthy nutrition habit that's going to last you a lifetime. Okay? It's not today, it's not tomorrow, it's the rest of your life. So you need to find something that works for you. And lastly, I'm going to talk about exercise quickly and move. Like Dr. Katrina said, 10 minutes is better than nothing. And you just work slowly and you build it up to 6 times a week. You need to work out 6 times a week. And there's many ways, especially City of Glendale has so many ways that you can get involved. At All About You Wellness Bootcamp, we are doing a 5K training, which that 5K training goes for the Stroke Center for Glendale Adventist. And All About You is conducting an 8-week program for the race. And we do meet on Sundays at the Chess Park. And it's just $20, and that goes to the Stroke Center. It's something good you're doing for yourself, for the community. The energy out there is great, and we're also there Wednesday nights to also motivate the City of Glendale to get moving as well. And our hikes are free for the public Saturday mornings, and you can join us. You can also look up our website, aaybootcamp.com. And we're pretty much with All About You. Our mission is to get our city moving, get them motivated to exercise and eat healthy. And there are many other ways. Lululemon at the Americana offers free yoga classes on Sundays. So I would recommend for all women to take advantage all that the city has to offer. And I'm going to complete it as our bodies are really a miracle and we should treat it as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Well, are you living at my house is what I want to know. everything you said applies to me, and it's terrible because being a former PE teacher, I know how important exercise is and what you eat and calories in, calories out. I used to teach that for 32 years. Young girls would say, "How do I lose weight? How do I lose weight?" And I go, "Well, remember, everything that you put, that you eat, you have to work it off. That's all." So it's very basic, and that was quite a good presentation. Thank you, commissioners. Any comments, questions?
I had a question also. I just joined a team for Downtown Dash, and I wanted to know if I could come to the Sundays, even though I've missed, or anybody actually in the audience.
Oh, definitely. We have 4 different groups. We have a walking group, walk, run, walk, and running group. And it's never too late. You can start with any group you're
How
comfortable.
about walk?
We actually have 2
Slow
groups
walk.
now. We have a slow walk.
Walk with me. You can come and walk with me in my
Yeah,
group.
so anyone can join. We do have a homework sheet we give out, and so it's not too late. Even if you come and walk, you're still doing good for the body. So definitely, we highly encourage for anyone to get out there, and just the energy is great. We love it.
And I also wanted to testify to the fact that I did keep a journal for a week, and it was one of the most eye-opening things I've ever done, and I was truly surprised at what I'm eating. And it wasn't, I stopped it.
The eating or the journal?
The wrong habit. So, yeah, I agree. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question. I know when people look at this, it says wellness boot camp, and they get scared, boot camp, and then, is it like the Biggest Loser kind of thing, reality show? So what can people expect?
Well, it's definitely not the military boot camp. As our name says, it's all about you. It's at your fitness level, your background. Anyone can do this. I have members at the age of 17 and 70, and they're both in the same class. There's always 2 trainers. We have high impact and low impact. We cover all components of wellness. Strength training, cardio, and nutrition is a big part of the program as well. And every week we have different programs, so we don't repeat the programs. We have 52 weeks, and every single week is different as far as strength training and cardio, in order for your body not to plateau and for you not to get bored. And nutrition is a big part, where you keep a journal, and then every day you bring it in or you email it to us, and then we give you your feedback. So to answer your question, anyone can do it. We don't yell and scream at you. It's more of a wellness boot camp. A lot of people do tell me, "Oh, I need to go get in shape before I come to you." You come to me to get in shape. Definitely.
What time is the workout for the Dash on Sundays?
Sundays, 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.?
8 to 9:15 the most.
8 a.m.
Yes, 8 a.m. That's right.
Check, a.m., p.m.
Yeah. And then Wednesday nights, we're at the Chess Park. In the evening, 6 to 7, 7 to 8.
Okay.
And again, what are your hours?
We have 5 classes per day, every day,
Okay.
Monday through Friday. We have a 5:30 a.m. to 7, 7 to 8, and 8:30 to 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we have 6 to 7, 7 to 8 in the evening.
And then, is it a membership kind of?
We have different packages. You can come weekly, unlimited, or you can come session. Whatever works for you. We try to work with everyone with their busy schedule. So whatever works for you.
And you have a 2-for-1 special.
Yeah, we do have a 2-for-1 special, and also 1-week guest pass. So I would encourage anyone who is interested, they can call us, come in. I highly recommend for everyone to give it a try first. You need to figure out if this is for you or not. It might not work with your schedule. So it's important for you to try it out before you commit to the 4 weeks or however many weeks that you want to try.
I think the bottom line is that here in Glendale, we have so many opportunities
definitely.
to get exercise and to work out. We have clubs and streets and beautiful parks and trails, and there's no excuse really for women, men, anyone in this community to get out there and move. And I think the bottom line for healthy hearts is to watch what you eat and eat healthy, of course, and start moving. And young ladies our Ms. Malakian and
They don't have to worry
Marquette.
about
Yes,
it.
no, they do have to
Just
worry.
kidding.
You should start now thinking, absolutely. This is the perfect time for you to be sure that you're getting that 150 minutes, was it minutes, a week, and watch what you eat. Yes.
It's the habit forming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome. Thank you. It was my
presentation.
pleasure.
Yes, I did.
Just one quick comment, Chair. I was reading an article about Oprah about the going up and down her weight gain and stuff, and really simple but very profound statement she said was no self-care equals no self-love. So I thought this was really interesting, that advice that that they give you on the airplane is put your air mask on first for yourself and then take care of your kids. You've got to take care of you, and then you can take care of other people. So I think the doctor said it, and I think, Nara, you said it, so thank you both for coming.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is oral comment. We have no cards.
Next item.
Next item on the agenda is consent items with the approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held January 12th, 2009.
Do any of the commissioners have any additions or changes, corrections? If none, then do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move that the minutes be accepted.
Second?
I second it.
Do I have a consensus?
Yes.
Consensus? Okay. Next item, please.
Agenda item 5A1, election of commission officers. Two motions. One motion to elect the chair for the term of February 2009 to February 2010, and a motion B to elect vice chair for the term of February 2009 through February 2010.
Okay, Ms. Haddad, would you like to give a brief explanation of how this can work?
Certainly. The process that's been followed by the commission for the past 5 years, and happy anniversary, by the way, 5 years, is generally that the floor is opened up for nominations. Candidates are then nominated for the position of chair. The election is then held for chair via roll call vote. You can have nominees give statements as to interest if there's more than one. I don't think there's ever been more than one candidate, but that doesn't preclude it from this time. And then a roll call vote is taken, and if it's just one candidate, commissioners vote yes or no on that candidate. And then at that time, once the new chair is elected, the first action of the new chair is to conduct the election for the vice chair. So at that time, you move forward into that process a second time for the vice chair's election.
Okay, so I can open the floor for nominations for chair.
I do nominate Paula, Commissioner Devine, for the position of chair.
Any other nominations? Mr. Dodge, shall we take roll?
Certainly. Commissioner Katafian,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamel, Commissioner Manasarian,
Yes.
Commissioner Pillsbury,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobey,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Vice Chair Devine.
Yes. Thank you for the vote of confidence. I appreciate that very much, commissioners. We'll have a great year this year. Now we will open the floor for nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations? Commissioner Manasarian for vice chair. Any other nominations? Shall we take roll, please?
Commissioner Katafian,
She's taking.
what, your vote, yes or no? Yes. Commissioner Lamel, Commissioner Manasarian,
Yes.
Commissioner Pillsbury,
Yes.
Commissioner Sobey,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
and Chair Devine.
Yes.
Congratulations. to both of you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you,
It'll be
Commissioners.
great to work with you. Okay, next item, please. That was easy. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Agenda Item 5A2, consideration and discussion of the strategic plan for 2009 through 2014, with a motion approving the CSW strategic plan 09 through 14. I did, Chair Devine, I did put together a short PowerPoint presentation just to outline a little bit of the work that the committee has done on this strategic plan, and so that it be very clear for the public when they're looking at the document. So if we'll go ahead and start that PowerPoint then. Just to give a brief overview, what we wanted to do was let everybody know the general structure of the strategic plan that the Commission is laying forward. In accordance with the plan, the way it's laid out is the plan overall encompasses 4 strategic aims. Those aims have amongst them multiple goals. So each aim has multiple goals, and under each one of those goals, there are discrete activities that go toward fulfilling that goal, which furthers the aim. Some of the key accomplishments, I apologize for the public, there's really far too much text on this page, but I just wanted to give all of you a sense of some of the work that has been accomplished over the past 5 years. Tops amongst that is generating approximately over $100,000 in external funding for the activities of the Commission. In November of 2008, the City Council adopted a resolution in support of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, Resolution 08-11. The strategic plan was submitted to City Council in 2005. The Commission also completed a status report in 2006 to update the Council on the work that had been accomplished. The Commission has also developed 4 citywide educational programmatic campaigns. In addition to that, we've also established essentially 2 series of what we called Women's Words of Wisdom salons, community forums, and dialogues on the topic of financial literacy. Dollars and Cents really falls in with the Money Matters. And then Lessons Learned from the Campaign Trail and actually also underneath that is also the Women at the Table event, which would also be included in that. And additionally, I think one of the crown jewels of this commission has been the development, funding, and implementation of Camp Rosie. Over the past 2 years, for the 2 sessions of the camp, we have served over 100 local girls. We also co-sponsored the Project 50 LA Policy Summit in 2008. Over 200 policy leaders from the state level and the county level, as well as various municipalities, came and attended this event at the California Endowment. It was really successful. The legacy project for that summit is still is actually being developed and conceptualized now from the notes from that meeting. Over the course of the past 3 years, we have developed over 100% voluntary participation in the HANDS project component of Yellow Ribbon Week, which is the anti-violence week of awareness for the Glendale Unified School District, and of course developed strong alliances across a very broad, diverse community, including Glendale Unified School District, Glendale Community College, local service organizations such as Seroptimus and Kiwanis, Glendale Arts Alliance, and the Downtown Glendale Merchants Associations, and of course the goals this year include branching out to include additional chambers of commerce and the business community. So for the 4 strategic aims of the Commission has outlined strategic planning being first and foremost amongst them. That's the process you're engaged in right now. Additionally, we have a policy program and planning aim, which will be explained in a little bit further detail. Development, and that includes money and people, as well as communication. Under strategic planning, part of the idea of strategic planning is to really evaluate the programs as they are being presented to the public. That really should read ensure efficacy, but just for the just to ensure that parallelism, isn't that right, Chair Devine, that we always talk about?
Thank you.
And then to prioritize the work of the Commission. Under communication, the marketing of the work of the Commission, to recognize women's accomplishments, and also to build alliances and collaborate with local community. Under development, we're looking at securing long-term funding for the activities of the Commission, developing public and private partnerships in order to continue the work, and then developing our volunteer base so that we have people to draw on, which are really the most valuable resource that is available in the city. Policy, program, and planning. Generally, we would like to identify sources of information on women's status in the community. We'd like to gather all of that information together, develop different ways of getting that information into policies for City Council, into developing additional resources and work, and then also increasing avenues of access for the people who need it the most in the community. The 3 primary areas of the Commission's work continue to be economic self-sufficiency and financial literacy, which has been understood to be the foundation of independence and essentially for women, and equality, really. developing women's leadership in the areas both of political participation as well as philanthropy in the city, volunteerism, and then women's health, which does include a strong emphasis on violence awareness and prevention at all levels, particularly in gendered violence against women. Our special focus for 2009 is women's health, hence you have monthly presentations on women's health issues. It is our top priority. And to contact the Commission, the public can either visit us on the web, they can email us, or they can give a phone call to the number that's listed there, or they're welcome to come into the office as well. And that concludes our short talk.
Very good, Ms. Haddad. Thank you very much. So what we're looking for, fellow commissioners, is hopefully if you have any revisions that you would like to make, or if you have feedback or direction that you want us to take on this, we're looking to make this our final copy, and then Ms. Haddad can prepare it for presentation to City Council eventually. So do we have any changes? Or I think the most important page for you to focus on is page 5, which actually states the goals. And were just subtle changes that we made. Commissioner Walker was on the committee, and Commissioner Sobey. Subtle changes, but important ones, because we tried to focus more on a better partnership, better communication with community members and organizations. So I ask you to look at the fruits of our labor and tell us what you think. Any comments? Changes? I do have to say that the changes were subtle, and that is because the original commission and staff did such a beautiful job of writing this strategic plan that it really didn't take very much, and we seem to be right on the mark as far as all of our programs and the work that we're trying to do. So we're just trying to embellish it a little bit and try to get more of the community involved with this, and perhaps a little bit more evaluating accountability in the strategic plan. So, comments? Are you satisfied with the work, or do you have anything that you'd like to add? Or
I had a
Commissioner
comment.
Manasarian?
Yes. I'm not sure if this would go under our strategic planning, but Girls on the Run would be a program that we could look in the long run for the future in our strategic planning. So I didn't see any literature on that, so I don't know if we want to expand on that. And since we started that last year, personally, I think all the commissioners agree that they'd like to see it, or I'd like to see it actually just become something that we will be in support of and take on as a project.
Yes.
There has been general consensus from the Commission. We can add that under signature programs if you'd like.
Yes.
Yes,
I think that would be good.
Good idea.
Everyone agree?
Mm-hmm. And I think that would fall under the activity category
Yes.
in the different areas of strategic aims. And I think I just want to make a comment that what is really good about the strategic plan is that it focuses on capacity building. Okay, a lot of the efforts that we're doing is towards self-sufficiency in terms of garnering external funding, in terms of getting or building additional alliances, and also in terms of getting additional volunteers. So, a lot of that is really geared towards capacity building and making sure that we don't strain the already strained resources of the city. I think that's really important to highlight.
Very good. Any other comments?
Commissioner Devine, when you said getting the community involved, what did you mean by that?
Well, having us partner and be supported by more of the community. For instance, the Kiwanis is now involved with us and has partnered, or not partnered, but granted us funds, and just to go out and make ourselves more known to the community and perhaps get gain more support with the Chamber of Commerce and other clubs and organizations in the community.
And related to that, Commissioner Sobey, is the concept of strategic partnerships, okay, and the concept of synergistic alliances, and that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
And may I add something as well? The on page 7, I think we should.
Oh, I was just going, yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
yeah.
No, go ahead. It's yours.
I noticed it's acting chair would probably change to.
Oh, no, I was, also to add
two
Commissioner
items,
Pillsbury's
yes.
name.
Yes, Commissioner Pillsbury's
The
name.
roll call will be updated to reflect the current population.
So we noticed that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Any motion on this? Okay, do I have then a motion from the commission to accept this strategic plan updated report with the changes?
I so move.
I second.
Next item? Did we have unanimous consent?
Yes.
Next item on the
Item?
agenda is the Commission on the Status of Women Master Calendar with a motion to provide direction with regards to the master calendar.
Any corrections, additions? Commissioners, have we not gotten a date yet, Ms. Haddad, for the ACCW meeting?
I have not received it.
Strange, isn't it?
I'll follow up on that and see what they have to say.
Thank you. Everyone satisfied with the calendar? Seems to have everything.
The hosting as well.
For our, I don't think we've set a date yet for the ACCW meeting that we're hosting here in Glendale in May.
Hey.
Okay. Okay. Right, then we accept the calendar as is. Yes. Okay, next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is Business Agenda 5A4, Update on Sex Assault Awareness Month, activities for April 2009, with a motion to provide direction for any additional Sex Assault Awareness Month activities that you would like to see.
Okay. There seems to be a change in the schedule of events. Ms. Haddad, do you want to explain that to the commission, the slight
Oh, it's actually
Tweaking?
just a tweaking of the day. The last Friday of this April falls on April 24th, which is the commemoration of the Armenian Genocide. So we've moved the date to the 17th of April in collaboration with the YWCA. There's also a slight change that this year it won't be a march, it will only be a rally, but we're working on a performance component with the YWCA to bring people to that location.
Now, if we, are there any questions about this from any of you?
It will be at
Commissioners?
W.
At the Y.
At the YWCA. With the format changing, is that going to be any, I'm going to usurp or speak before Commissioner Walker, is there any budget cost to us for if we have this sort of event, instead of just the march, if we're going to have maybe groups or entertainment or anything? Is there any additional cost?
There is a budget allocated for this event. We haven't fleshed that out yet. We're in very preliminary stages for April. I'm really focusing my efforts on the Jewels of Glendale, but we're starting the conversations for April to get that laid out. So we'll come back next month with a fuller picture about April, including budget information.
Are there any commissioners here that feel, that like the walk and would like to stay with the walk or keep the walk, or are we all happy that the format's changing? My heart is with the walk. I don't know if you can tell that, but
Remember, we have to
I
move.
love the march, and I think it's effective. And but if the powers to be would rather not have a march, do the commissioners have any input on that, or are you okay with the change?
It was a shorter.
What was the reason?
Can I share the rationale
Yes,
with you?
go ahead, please.
What ended up happening was the YWCA approached us to say that they wanted to start at the Y and end at the Y, which would have been fine. except that the idea behind the march going to Brand last year was to increase the visibility for the event. And Commissioner Walker, we can still dance. So we'll get our moving in. What ended up happening was essentially they wanted to just march around Lexington to Glendale, so around the Whole Foods, which wouldn't necessarily increase visibility, but you could potentially increase a lot more visibility for the event by holding a larger event in place and having sort of higher profile people come and perform. So the notion is still, the spirit is the same, which is we want visibility for the cause and we want to raise awareness and prevention efforts in the community. But it was a bit of a sort of a false economy to just walk around Whole Foods, we felt. And so we thought maybe what we would do instead is just have a big event there and really celebrate the why and all the work that they do in the community, because it's actually, they have a fabulous Regency room. We could do that. The Clothesline Project will be there. You know, there's a whole host of things. They've got a great stage that we could utilize for different performances. So there's different artists that we could draw on to do that. But certainly it's open to conversation and negotiation with the YWCA if you'd still be interested in doing that.
Any comments?
Last year we started at the city,
Yes.
and then we walked to the Brand and
Brand.
went back to the Y.
Right.
Now, if we were to start from the Y and go to the Brand and go a block, would that be too much of a walk, or is that why they're not?
Well, the reason the route got changed and made longer was because the feedback from the previous year was it's too short, make it longer. It was only three blocks. So I think this is a case of not necessarily being able to please everybody at one point. So.
And then I think another problem that we had that day was the fact that it was so brutally hot. And there we
That
were on
particular
the
April,
pretty
yeah.
long walk, so it got a little bit uncomfortable. But any other comments? Do you want?
When you said they have a big stage, were you thinking of an inside event or an outside event? Because it seems that outside event has more people going by see it, and people might stop and participate. That
It would actually be both. There's indoors and out, and it's a very fluid space. I don't know if you've been to that YWCA, but it opens up onto Everett. Is it Everett? Everett. And then it's also over on right in front of the Whole Foods off of Lexington. So the space is very open. It's all open. And then we've got the Clothesline Project that we display outside between the trees. So there's a component of it outside, and there's a portion of it that could be inside as well. So it could be sort of both and very fluid, and people can move in and out. And we usually have a couple tables set up so that people can come make T-shirts for Survivor T-shirts and Survivor art. So it's a very active event, and kind of focusing on the why brings a lot of good attention to a really great agency in town. So sort of what we're thinking.
Comments?
I think I like the concept of doing both an outside and an inside event, culminating with maybe certain high-profile guests. Also, I'm thinking, from the educator point of view, having the kids or the youth involved in terms of maybe art, essay, or writing or something, to that effect. And I'd be happy to kind of like draft, something related to that for next month to propose to the council.
Ex officios, do you have any comments on this? A march or a event, or would you like to add?
I really like I too, I really advocate the idea of a march just because when I was younger and it was like my middle school years, there used to be a jogathon, and it's not really, it's actually just around the parking lot of my old school, so it sounds kind of lame, but it was actually a lot of fun, and it was just basically, it had a lot of parents giving us water, and then we would raise like $200 each kid, so I just think it does give you a little boost in your spirit, and I really like Commissioner Walker's idea about involving the youth, about having giving away like public posters about how we can actually express our opinions about awareness, so through essay, art, that kind of thing. So I like that too.
Perhaps we could, if I could make a suggestion, we could incorporate the march with placards and give awards for the best sign.
Slogan or
yes,
something.
that they bring, and a design and something like that. I'm sorry, I'm with you. Commissioner Maricat. I love the idea of a march and the visibility, and the horns were blowing and people were waving and getting the message. And I think that's so important to a cause like this.
I
That's
think we have to choose, either or.
right. Yes, we can make.
Yes.
Can we do a combination? We should do. We recommend a combination.
Actually, we can even do like pre and post events, commemorating, the things that we're doing here. And I'm thinking when I was a school principal and what we did with certain events like this, and we're talking about building alliances, but, it's possible that maybe some of the student artwork or the essays, they can be displayed in banks or in some of our partner institutions, and that would add on to that visibility of the why. And the kids seeing some of their work is really powerful.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea just because it'll kind of give us it'll be like a way of marketing too, to get the youth involved because not many of us really know about the commission. So I think it would be a great thing that to just make them more aware and actually get them involved by doing a contest or something that would actually get them to put their input on.
And highlight their work.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Commissioner Pillsbury?
Back to the walk versus rally idea, there's something that seems to have great symbolic value to start at City Hall and end up at a program that serves women and serves children. And, although that's not a long walk, perhaps that could be incorporated for the symbolism as much as anything. And then have the main part of the rally could be there. I mean, the walk could start here and then go to there, and then there could still be performers and, exhibits and whatever else everybody wanted.
So I think, Commissioner?
How about having, once they reach
The YW?
YWCA, yes, can't we have some performances, but that one we have to schedule and prepare before going there. It shouldn't be something surprising for everybody. We have to prepare the program and then present it over there.
Right.
That might be a better picture for us.
Okay. And it seems to me that the commission is asking you to maybe go back to the table with the YW and see if
We're certainly going to have to, actually, because one of the things they explicitly said was they did not want to start at City Hall. They wanted to start at the YWCA.
Oh.
So what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll see what compromise we can come to then together.
All right. Okay.
And we'll bring it back in March.
Great. Perfect. Okay.
So, is it necessary to have a meeting, maybe some of the commissioners or a subgroup to meet with Y to kind of flesh out some of the details and, all the suggestions? Would that be
Actually, the
helpful?
work that I do.
Ms. Haddad?
I said that's actually the work that I do with their staff over there. So it's not on their board level. They actually do it with staff. So it's usually staff to staff working it out. But I can take your direction and take that to the meeting with me.
What I'm suggesting is that I'd like to work with student ex officios in terms of maybe doing some activity-based events that would really highlight these things, that would focus on involving
Like
the youth.
the contest
some
of some sort?
the things, and maybe just solidify that in terms of, what are the logistics, that's going to be involved, what's the financial impact, if ever, and so on.
Well, then, Ms. Haddad, you can work with Commissioner Walker and the ex officios and come up with a plan, a contest.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We can get all the high schools involved, right?
Exactly.
Okay, sounds good. Wonderful.
Will we have enough time, is what I ask, between now and...
Ms. Haddad's a miracle worker.
I know.
I was not born in a manger.
I think if if it's planned systematically and then we have our liaisons with the different schools, it doesn't have to be really encompassing, thousands of entries or
Right.
whatever. But, whatever talents and participants that we can garner, that would be really helpful.
And we're looking at April, so it's 2 months.
Never mind that little thing in March that we're
Right,
doing.
Okay, we'll let you, Commissioner Walker and Ms. Haddad and the ex officios work that one out.
Perfect.
And you'll bring back some sort of report the next meeting. Okay. Next item?
Next item on the agenda is 5A5, update from the 5th Annual Jewels of Glendale 2009 Planning Committee with a motion providing direction regarding the 5th Annual Jewels of Glendale.
Okay, I think probably what we should do first on this item is decide about the selection of the award, the Women of Courage Award winners. And Commissioner Walker, since you are the co-chair of this event, you looked over the options for how we should choose the award winners. In the past, we've used B and C. So we've either had an ad hoc committee, which was composed of Ms. Haddad and might be the chair and vice chair, maybe another commissioner, or we've just done, haven't we? And
Staff generally isn't a member of the ad hoc committee. I staff the committee.
you're just
Yeah,
there.
I'm
Okay.
just there. But generally, an ad hoc committee would be 3 council-appointed members meeting for a limited time to do a discrete task. So that has been one of the 7 of you up here, or 2 up to 3, but no more than 3.
So, or we can just, as we have done in the past as well, just have the chair and the vice chair.
I
But this is-
definitely, Commissioner Lamel and I are volunteering to, go over, and then if there's an additional commissioner
Okay.
who would like to participate,
So you would prefer the ad hoc committee with an additional commissioner on the, okay.
we're comfortable with, just Commissioner Lamel and I taking care of it, okay, or, having additional commissioner.
Any thoughts on that?
Is anyone interested?
Is anyone interested in volunteering to be on that committee? Happy to be on that. Okay. Fine. Okay, Commissioner Pillsbury. And do we have a motion then to have an ad hoc committee made up of Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Lamel, and Commissioner Pillsbury to choose our Women of Courage Award winners? Do I have a motion? I so move. Second?
I second.
Unanimous consent?
Yes.
Okay, and now, if Commissioner Walker, do you want to give us a report on how the luncheon is coming along? That's going to be on March 26th, by the way. Go ahead and give
And I don't know if Ms. Haddad was able to receive the updated poster.
I did. I received it today.
Can we post it?
No, I don't have access
Okay.
to it here.
But anyways, the poster is finalized, and we're going to be working with Ms. Haddad in terms of e-blasting them and also printing some and then putting them in key strategic alliances that we have. And then in terms of the auction, I sent out an email for Ms. Haddad to disseminate to the commissioners in terms of what I'm going to be needing as I put the auction items in a database. And that would be, number one, title, like what is the item that is going to be donated, or if it's already a bundled basket, what would be a catchy, title for that. And I know Commissioner Sobey has a lot of, creative suggestions or titles from the baskets, the beautiful baskets she donated last time.
And that email is yet to come
No,
to
that's
us?
been sent already.
Okay. And then description, a short description of the item that will help us, when we put together a catalog or description. Condition, I think it's important to identify. Is it new? Is it vintage? Is it, antique? Is it or not usable? Okay, because what we want is to still accept the donations, but, identify which one can be used or not. The donor who gave the item and the solicitor from our commission, the value, the fair market value, and if you're not sure, with help you with that one. And important thing is the location. Where is it? Is it already given to Ms. Haddad? Is it to be picked up, to be delivered? What are the arrangements that's needed so that, when we put together the database, there's no missing items?
And what do you prefer? That it go to Ms. Haddad, that it goes to you?
I thought
That we keep the
somebody
items?
volunteered your place.
Well, I was
No, just kidding.
I wanted to know
for storage.
what would be the equivalent of the way we worked with Commissioner Kuntz last year? Would we have an activity like that?
Yes, definitely. We're going to be having, the opportunity to put together like
Great.
a wrap party or
Yeah,
something like
okay,
that.
good.
Yes.
Ms. Haddad?
But we
sorry.
need to, have like a identified place for
Some central
to store it.
location.
Yeah, centralized
we can decide.
location.
Yeah, we can decide that.
And will we be deciding that tonight as far as the our wrap party, and that's the date of that and that sort of thing?
I don't think so. I think it's
We
too
don't need
early to be
Okay.
doing that.
I can just,
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think
I think about maybe a week and a half to about maybe 2 weeks, for the wrap party, depending on the items and once it's put in the database.
And we were putting those items in the database also during the wrap party last year.
No,
But
what
you-
I'm going to be doing is that I'll do it beforehand.
Okay.
the form is more or less what is going out in the sponsorship packet, isn't it, Grace? What you're talking about, all the information for the silent auction items is more or less the form that's going out to the...
Yes, but
Okay,
but
so we all have
sometimes, but we got to make sure that the commissioners are really proactive in getting those descriptors so that when we put it in the database, it's really smooth.
Okay.
And then would that database or sort of a form of it be published like we had last night at the Rotary function? There was a whole list
catalog.
of the... Yes. Would we be doing something like that?
The database that I have,
Yeah.
it's really geared for
That's what I thought.
silent auction, and it'll do that. It'll do the bid sheets. It'll do
Yes, I see all
the
those.
catalog and and print receipts so that it's really
Organized.
organized.
And did we publish that list of items last year as well? I can't
I
remember
don't
if we
think
did.
we've ever really published it beforehand.
Did we have,
or-
Ms. Haddad, did we have a list of the items? We did, didn't we? Of
We had a
the-
list of
I
the
think-
donors.
Yeah, we acknowledged
We
them.
acknowledged all the
Yeah.
donors, but there wasn't one comprehensive listing like a bid sheet or auction book or something. We didn't have that, but it's certainly easy enough
But
to pull
it's
together.
easy with your
It-
program
yeah,
to...
That's one of the things that we want to generate is like a catalog so that people hopefully, and in some of the fundraisers that I've been part of, it's emailed to members or attendees beforehand so that they can peruse and look at what to bid and so on. So
Do you have any information on Assemblywoman Bass? Do you know if Commissioner Limmel has heard anything? Have we heard anything from her? Ms. Haddad?
We haven't, but I assume that's because they've been really hot and heavy with the budget crisis. So California is on the state level, they're very busy working on the budget. So I don't expect to hear back from her yet.
Okay, okay.
I will double check with Commissioner Limmel and convey to Ms. Haddad to convey to the rest.
Great.
Just a reminder, I was looking at some of the figures from last year. The total intake that we've had is about 11,468 in terms of the total value of the auction items that we've collected. And we more or less sold about $5,000. So it's about 44% that we're going to be more or less getting from the total value, and then we had the range from $18 to $850, and we got to make sure that we have different price points, preferably not too high, because with the economy it's really going to be hard to sell those high price ticket items.
So we have to ask the commissioners to really work hard at getting items for the silent auction that are items that we know people will want, the women will want, and that will get
Moderately
a good,
priced.
moderately priced, that will get a
Bundled
good
well,
return
yeah.
from. Okay, Ms. Haddad?
I did have one comment with regards to the location. I don't have space to store the amount of items that we collected last year here, nor do I have a secure space to put them, even if I do have them. So I would really suggest that somebody, if you have any room available in your house, that you open up one of those rooms. So just a word to the wise, because I really do not have any storage facilities available.
Remind me, what did we do last year with the items? Did we tend to keep them on our own
Initially, I
and
think-
deliver them?
Yes, then we took them all over to the house where we worked.
Everybody
Lisa
kept them,
Kunz's house.
and then they were supposed to be delivered. I'm sorry, Commissioner Walker.
Yeah,
Just
go
to
ahead.
answer. Everybody took them over to then Commissioner Kunz's place with the intent that they were supposed to stay there until the event, and it didn't work out that way, which was part of the reason for the additional complications on the day of the event. So it's really ideal to have them in one location
Okay.
so they can be delivered.
But the issue with that, and I recall
Yeah.
through the request of Commissioner Coons, because I know I ended up with boxes and boxes.
Boxes.
You know, I was the last one to leave. Is that it's really physically hard to transport all of those things, and
Especially bulky
Yes,
baskets and
exactly.
things.
So that's what she suggested, is that we divided, those items, and as long as you know and tabulate who's, getting the items, and once it's categorized in different categories, maybe bath items, sports or whatever, then we assign a commissioner to be responsible for all those things, and then just bring that. And that's my suggestion, because it's really going to be a lot for just one person. And I know just with the swags that I had to take care of last time, it was several trips back and forth.
So then we're thinking against a central location at this point, and then just being responsible for a certain number of items each then.
Yeah, put
And
it in
then-
a central location, and then once it's bundled, each one of us would take
A portion.
portion.
But is the central location the wrap party?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just a temporary holding
Exactly.
place until we take
Unless
them.
somebody had a room that they could let that you're talking about 2 weeks, right? Something like that? A room that for 2 weeks didn't need to be used.
But some of those items are going to be donated probably
Miss
prior
Haddad.
to 2 weeks.
Actually, Ms. Varpetian just brought up another option. Let me explore something with our legal department. We might have an empty office that we can utilize that locks here. If that's the case, that would just be ideal. It would take the pressure off of anybody having to give up room in their house, which I'm sure is already crowded. So
And could we have our wrap party there, or is
there
that
is a
too
conference
complicated?
room close by.
Yeah, it
so we-
seems like the holding area and the wrap party should be in the same place.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. That'd be wonderful.
I'll follow up on that and send an email out with the information.
Anything else, Ms. Walker? Commissioner Walker?
That's it, and I know Commissioner Manasarian's working hard on the sponsorships, and I think during the last meeting that we've had, we've successfully identified potential sponsors.
Right. Each commissioner was assigned a certain group of companies, corporations, individuals for us to contact. So I would probably contact each one of you to follow through with those contacts. So far we've gotten some, which is great, and we're expecting more. And also, on another fun note, last night Commissioner Sobey, Chair Devine, and myself were at the Glendale Rotary function honoring women, 20 year of women's participation. And Rolla Lindsay, who was the first president of Glendale Rotary, and her husband Tom Lindsay also were the honorees. But we bid on a sign on Glendale Community College for 1 week, and would like to have Commissioner do their announcement for the jewels on that sign.
Excuse me, what was that again?
Commissioner
that.
Manasarian and
Oh,
I
she
bid
used it
on
on,
the Glendale Community
sign.
College signboard.
Oh, the marquee.
So you
On
may
Mountain?
pick. You may
On
pick
Mountain. That's
a great
what dates you
idea.
want them to put the sign up, and
Cool.
they'll run it for a week.
You could choose the usage as you wish, so it's for you and actually.
Make sure they put bling.
Right.
Right.
That would be fun.
And if I can interject on Commissioner Manasarian, I want to send out a very big thank you to Glendale Memorial Foundation, because they donated, they're sponsoring $1,000 for our luncheon, and they're the first big sponsor, so we want to thank them, and I hope that the other hospitals will come through for us as well. especially since
We
our
hear
focus is
Glendale
on our
and
the human thing. But anyway, thank you, Glendale Memorial, very much.
Exactly. And also a shout out to our vendors out there if they're interested in maybe donating items for the silent auction, including all about you, all about you.
well,
we
and-
really want to move and exercise.
And what I found, the sponsorship for the business card ad, the ad, the $75 for a business card size ad. I think that is a really good way for businesses in the community to get into the program, recognition, and help us out. So, commissioners, go to all of your vendors and people that you work, buy things from and deal with, and mention this, because I think that's like the best of both worlds for everyone. So I encourage you all to go out there and try to find sponsorships and silent auction items. And this is a big project. I know Commissioner Walker and Commissioner Lamel are working very hard to make this a success, and we certainly need the funds for all of our programs. And it's a team effort, so I hope that everybody will go out there and do the best that you can.
And who will be collecting the business cards then for the program?
Whoever gets when you get the sponsorship,
Yes,
you can either have them email them in. There is a sheet in the packet, the sponsorship packet, and it
But I
gives
mean the physical business card itself.
well.
We can.
I collected mine. I've gotten one, but they can also they send it in electronically?
Yeah,
Ideally, it would be in
Yeah.
an electronic format. And the specs are on the sheet that was sent out.
Yeah. Good.
And really, silent auctions in this time of recession and economic downturn, it's a really good, bargain hunting opportunity. So we encourage everyone out there to participate. See, you're going to be getting about 66% off.
Okay. Is there anything else? Remember that the luncheon is on March 26th, 11:30 at Anoush on Glen Oaks Boulevard. Just
1520 West Glen Oaks.
Thank you. And tickets are $75, and you can contact Ms. Haddad here at City Hall, 548-4844, to make your reservations. Anything else? Next item.
Next item on the agenda is 5B, reports, information only, and there are none.
Next item.
Agenda item 6, commissioner and staff comments.
Okay, shall we go around to the commissioners if you have anything to say? Commissioner Tefian?
Today's meeting was both ways. I mean, health-wise, it was very informative. At the same time, for us to work practically on our items, it was quite fruitful. That was my impression. I hope that all our activities will end up with success.
Commissioner Manasarian?
Again, I'd like to congratulate the Rotary Club for their beautiful, wonderful event last night, and for having women. They made the right choice 20 years ago, and having women at their leadership and also as members. So I'd like to also congratulate Rala Lindsay for getting that award as the first woman president in Glendale Rotary. And also, I'd like to remind everyone about Downtown Dash, which is going to be in March 8th. I signed up for it, and I think she's going to be there in Ed boot camp, and I'm very excited for the Stroke Center. We need to really work together. It's a wonderful Stroke Center. I've been there personally. So Downtown Dash would be March 8th. We need to be there at 7 o'clock, and you can go online and register online. Also on March 12th is the Prayers Breakfast, and I encourage everyone to attend the Prayers Breakfast. It's very eye-opening, very informative, so I think that's about it.
You, Commissioner Pillsbury?
I wanted to thank Dr. Miller and Narina Natusian for both of you focusing all of our attention on taking care of ourselves, because that is something as women we tend to forget about, and it's so important. So thank you.
I wanted to add to Commissioner Manasarian's mention of the prayer breakfast. The doors will open at 6:30. That's Thursday, March 12th. That's a.m. in the morning. And you can get tickets through the city clerk's office. And then remember, on Saturday, kiss your Valentine.
Commissioner
And
Walker?
just a reminder for to support our Jewels of Glendale event. It's really our biggest fundraiser, and any kind of participation and support from the community is really going to be beneficial to support the projects that we have. And for the student volunteers out there, if you're looking for service hours, we have our two exceptional student ex officio members over here who will be happy to take some of your suggestions if you want to help, and also, Miss Haddad over here, because we're giving away service hours.
We're working to set that up.
Commissioner Malakian?
I wanted to comment on Yellow Ribbon Week. I thought it went very well. A lot of the teachers were at school at CV were discussing Yellow Ribbon Week, and they talked about it, so I thought it went really well. And I was just really happy that I was a part of it, even if that was a really small part, but I was happy to be a part of it.
I just wanted to thank both women for the little presentations, and I just wanted to say that for Camp Rosie that I did over summer, I worked with her for All About You Camp, and not gonna lie, it was pretty intense, especially doing the wall sit-ups. That made me want to shoot myself. But at the end of the day, I did go to my doctor, and I did lose 2 pounds. Yeah, guys, and I actually turned my house from Candyland to like Tofu Town, like all like jazzed up about health, and it's nice to see that it's actually working towards something in the long run. So it was great.
Thank you. Staff?
Just a congratulations to both of you on your recent election as chair and vice chair. Look forward to working with you yet for another year, Paula. Also, Commissioner Manasarian, Vice Chair Manasarian. And just to note, the Downtown Dash is actually falling on International Women's Day, so you can raise awareness on that as well, which is actually a celebration of women's labor, and it was initially labor protest. So you can get the word out about the importance of International Women's Day.
Okay. And I wanted to have some big thanks. First of all, thank you all for the vote of confidence. I really appreciate that, and I do look forward to this coming year. I want to thank the Glendale Kiwanis for their $1,500 donation, and I'm going to pass the envelope to Ms. Haddad. Thank you to them for supporting our Rosie Goes to Wall Street program. I did the presentation last year, about 4 or 5 months ago, and they responded quite well. So I want to thank all of them. I want to thank Greg Krikorian. If you remember last meeting, he had invited me to represent the commission on his talk show, and so I spoke with Dr. Carol Burton on domestic violence awareness, and it was very well received. Was that the correct word? Received. Thank you. I say things like that didn't sound quite right, so you have to kind of give me that. He tells me it was very well received. So it was good to create awareness for the commission, and also to bring about more information in the community for women on domestic violence, and to let them know that there is help out there in this city and everywhere. So I thank Greg Krikorian. He's on our school board, and it was very nice of him to give us that opportunity. I want to congratulate Commissioner Malakian on her beautiful article in the Glendale News Press. It was a fabulous picture, and I was so proud that you were one of our commissioners. So congratulations on that. I hope everybody saw it, and I wish you good luck in politics, because that was what she said she's striving for. So that was great. I also have 2 programs that are really, and I'll do these very quickly because I think they're most important. On Monday, March 2nd, at the Alex Theater, Dr. Jill Taylor is going to speak from her bestseller, New York bestseller, My Stroke of Insight. Now, this is a woman that had a stroke at age 37, and this is just to let you know that you don't have to be old to have a stroke. It can happen at any age. We even hear on TV of young girls, young women having strokes. So she's going to speak on her recovery and what she went through. It is, again, it's being presented by Glendale Adventist Hospital. It is at 7 p.m. on Monday, March the 2nd at the Alex Theater, and I think that should be a really great program. And the second program that I want to talk about and invite everyone to is it's a documentary, and it's called A Powerful Noise, and it was produced and presented by with CARE and a couple of other organizations. And this is going to be done on, it's a documentary, as I said. It's going to be followed by a live town hall discussion with leading humanitarian experts and activists. The event celebrates International Women's Day, and it highlights the important role that women play in bringing lasting solutions to global poverty. It is executively produced by Sheila Johnson, but it follows the lives of 3 women of different countries to witness their daily efforts to fight HIV/AIDS, champion girls' education, and to unite ethnically divided communities. The presentation will conclude, as I said, with a live panel of renowned advocates discussing how women, equipped with proper resources, have the power to help families and entire communities escape poverty. Again, it's going to be presented nationwide, all on the same night, all over the country. The local presentation is at the AMC in Burbank at 8 p.m. on March the 5th. The tickets are between $15 and $18. It should be a fantastic documentary and event. So I encourage everybody, call the AMC and get information if you like. But again, it is the AMC Burbank, 8 p.m. on March 5th. Well, I hope that everyone learned something about healthy hearts tonight, and I wish all of you a healthy heart month, and hope that you'll join us next time, and I think we can entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:10.